Get ready for a quick quest guide for the My Arms Big Adventure quest, in which the main rewards for completing are 10,000 Herblore XP, 5,000 Farming XP, access to a disease-free herb patch atop the Troll Stronghold, and 1 quest point. You'll need to have completed the Eadgar's Ruse, the Feud, and the Jungle Potion quests before taking on this one. And additionally, you'll need to have 60% Tai Bwo Wannai Village Favour. Note that seeing as you'll lose this favour during the quest, it's recommended getting 100% favour first to complete a medium Karamja diary task before taking on this quest. Also, I'll pop a guide to obtaining favour in the description. For skills, you'll need to have 29 farming and 10 woodcutting. This being said, having 40 prayer for access to protect from ranged, as well as 41 magic or higher for access to wind blast is also rather helpful. When it comes to items, you'll need some climbing boots, a spade, a rake, a seed dibber, and 8 Supercompost. Additionally, you'll need 3 Ugthanki Dung. Now there's a chance you already obtained this extra dung during the Feud quest, so check to see if you have it in your bank. If you do, then great, but if not, then I'd suggest obtaining this dung before starting the quest. To do this, you'll need 3 empty buckets and your red hot sauce from the Feud quest. If you don't have the hot sauce, then no worries, just make sure that it's not sitting in your bank. Also, it's good to have a teleport to any bank for once you obtain the dung. Then simply make your way to Polnivnich. With 20 construction, you can teleport to your house provided that it's located in Polnivnich, or alternatively use a scroll of redirection from the Nightmare Zone on a house teleport to create a Polnivnich teleport. Alternatively, grab 250 coins and start at the Shantae Pass. Firstly, buy a pass from Shantae before entering the Desert South. Then select travel on the Rug Merchant just southeast and choose to travel to Polnivnich, paying 200 coins to take a leisurely carpet ride there. After you arrive in Polnivnich, head south. And if you need red hot sauce, then enter into the kebab shop and chat to the kebab seller. Following some chatter, say, "Would you sell me that bottle of special kebab sauce?" And then go through the chat to obtain a bottle of it, clicking off when more dialogue options appear. Next, exit the building and then head southwest into the building with the attached camel pen. Before going into the pen, here use the red hot sauce on the food trough. And after a short moment, a camel will eat from it before dropping a number 2 on the ground afterwards. Once it's steaming on the sand, just use your 3 empty buckets on the poop one by one to obtain 3 Ugthanki Dung. Now when it comes to recommended items, you want to have around 2 stamina potions to help with the running around. You'll also want a weapon, armor, a prayer potion, and around 20 pieces of high healing food to defeat a level 172 giant bird boss. Provided you have 40 prayer, this boss becomes a fair bit easier with protect from ranged. Seeing as the boss has a 35% air spell weakness, I'd suggest a magic setup using air spells for this. Gear with some defensive stats such as split bark is helpful too. Note that you can also opt for melee or range setups if you have high combat stats in those styles. But in my opinion, using magic is easiest. Of course, don't forget your arrows if using ranged, or alternatively if using magic, then runes for around 200 casts of your best air spell. I'd suggest only bringing 2 to 4 pieces of food with you at the start of the quest, and note that you'll have a chance to bank to grab the rest of it during the quest. When it comes to teleports, you'll want a charged games necklace, and provided you have access to Trollheim teleports, then you'll want 2 teleports to Trollheim, and this includes 1 for getting to the quest start. Note that you can circumvent the level 61 magic requirement if needed by using scrolls of redirection from the Nightmare Zone on house teleport tablets to make Trollheim teleport tablets. Now if you don't have access to Trollheim teleports, then you'll instead want a method of getting to the Fremennik Slayer cave 2 times. Now there's a lot of options for this, and so I'll have them shown on screen alongside their requirements, although I won't individually go through each one. Note that if you're using fairy rings, then don't forget to bring along your drum and staff. Also, I'd suggest having 1 teleport to anywhere for after the quest is completed. Finally, make sure that you have 2 empty inventory spaces. Now let's look at getting to the quest start, being the Troll Stronghold kitchen. For those of us with Trollheim teleports, you'll want to start by using one to teleport to the top of Trollheim Mountain. From here, run west down the mountain, using the agility shortcuts which require between 41 and 47 agility if you can, before entering into the Troll Stronghold west, popping on protect from melee if needed and running north in it, going up the ramp west and entering into the cave. From here run south and climb down the stone staircase at the bottom of the area to then arrive at the troll kitchen. For those of us without Trollheim teleports, you'll want to start off by making your way to the Fremennik Slayer cave, using a Slayer ring or alternatively teleporting to any fairy ring before taking the AJR fairy ring code with the completion of a Fairy Tale Part 2 are the best options, followed by a house teleport if your house is located in Relica, or a Relica teleport tablet which can be made by using a scroll of redirection on a house teleport with 30 construction before running east. Another option that has no requirements is to use a Camelot teleport before running a long ways northeast from there, using the agility log balance obstacle shortcut if you have 48 agility. However, note that this does add a significant amount of running to your trip. After reaching the Slayer cave, head a tad north and then follow the path east until you see some rocks blocking the path. Then make sure you're wearing your climbing boots and climb over the rocks before turning north and heading into the secret door. Once inside, run all the way north and a little bit east before climbing the staircase. And following this, go through the doorway west before running all the way south. Simply continue south and go through the door to arrive in the kitchen. Once you're at the quest start, you'll want to chat to Burnt Meat and following some dialogue, select yes to officially begin the My Arms Big Adventure quest, before continuing the chat, which leads into a cutscene of Burnt Meat cooking a poor adventurer after quizzing him on growing goutweed. When it ends, go through the chat where you'll now need to help My Arm the Troll grow goutweed, and then select alright, I'll lend him a hand, to finish off the chat. When the chat finishes, go a tad east and talk to My Arm near the goat pen before going through the long chat with him. Next, use your games necklace to teleport to Berthorpe before going a tad south out of the games room area and then a long ways northwest until you reach the danger sign. Then pop on protect from ranged and run east, going past the thrower trolls onto the death plateau, and upon reaching the plateau you might want to pop on protect from melee if a troll targets you. After reaching the top, head into the hut just south of the cooking pot and pick up the empty bucket on the ground. Then use this bucket on the cooking pot just north, and after a moment you'll obtain a goutweedy lump. And following this, the cooking troll will start throwing rocks at you. Run southeast out of the troll's range, and now let's return to Burnt Meat. For this, pop on your climbing boots and then run northeast and climb up the rocks. Then run northwest and further west, and when the path forks, take the northern path, climbing over more rocks, before then running northwest, climbing over even more rocks along the way to reach the Troll Stronghold secret door before entering into it. Inside, run north all the way through the floor and then a little east before climbing up the staircase, and then go through the door west and afterwards run south all the way through the floor and then open the southern door to enter into the kitchen, before going a tad east back to My Arm. Now talk to My Arm and go through the chat with him where he eats the goutweedy lump and then asks for your help in growing another. And following the chat you'll get a kind of cutscene whereby you follow My Arm through the stronghold as he takes you to where he's growing the goutweed. After arriving, run north to find My Arm and then talk to him before going through the chat to obtain a farming manual. Select to read it and then close it, before talking to My Arm once again and going through the chat. When it ends, locate the soil patch nearby. Then one by one use each of your 3 camel or Ugthanki dung on the soil patch. The third should prompt a quick message saying that that's enough dung. Next, one by one use 7 Supercompost on the same soil patch. This will take a little while, but once you've added all 7 Supercompost to the soil patch, you'll get another message saying that you've added enough. With the dung and Supercompost added, talk to My Arm once again, leading into a cutscene where you end up at the Ardoon docks. When dialogue options appear, say, "This is My Arm. We'd like to go to Karamja," to then lead into a small boat travel cutscene. Go through the chat with My Arm on the ship whereby My Arm struggles with thinking. continue going through the chat, and eventually you'll wind up at the docks north of Brimhaven and agree to meet my arm at Tai Bwo Wannai Village. Now you can simply run south from the Brimhaven docks, going all the way through Brimhaven and further south, whereby you'll eventually reach my arm just east of the general store. Talk to my arm and continue through the chat with him, and after it finishes, run southeast for a little while until you're just west of the fenced-in hardwood trees. Here you'll find Merkali. Talk to him and firstly say, "A troll called my arm wants a favour," and then continue through the chat whereby you swap 60% village favour for a hardy gout tuber. Before you then get a cutscene whereby my arm gets very impatient and causes absolute chaos in the village, which does hurry up your efforts to get hardy gout tubers. After the cutscene finishes, continue through the chat with my arm, before you get another cutscene whereby you take a boat back to Ardoon. Then after arriving in Ardoon, go through the chat with my arm, and after it ends, run northwest to the nearby bank, and it's time to bank and prepare for the boss fights to come. For this, simply deposit any empty buckets you have, and all you'll want to do is withdraw additional food now to use for the upcoming boss fight. Also make sure that you keep your one remaining Supercompost on you and that you don't accidentally bank it alongside the empty buckets. Once you've banked, it's time to return to my arm at the farming patch atop the Troll Stronghold. For those of us with access to Trollheim teleports, you'll want to start by using one. Then from atop Trollheim, run west down the mountain, using the agility shortcuts which require between 41 and 47 agility if you can, before entering into the Troll Stronghold west, popping on protect from melee if needed, and running north in it, going up the path west and entering into the cave. From here, run south for a little while before going through the door to your west, and then turn and go north for a bit before climbing up the ladder to reach the rooftop, and then run further north back to the farming patch. For those of us without Trollheim teleports, you'll want to start off by making your way to the Fremennik Slayer cave, and I'll pop a range of options as well as their requirements up on screen now in case they're needed. After reaching the Slayer cave, head a tad north and then follow the path east until you see some rocks blocking the path. Then make sure that you're wearing your climbing boots and climb over the rocks before turning north and heading into the secret door. Once inside, run all the way north and a little east before climbing the staircase, and following this, go through the doorway west before climbing up another stone staircase. Afterwards, run a rather long way south before going through the door to your west at the southern part of the floor, and then turn and go north for a bit before climbing up the ladder to reach the rooftop, and then run further north back to the farming patch. After arriving back at the plant patch atop the Troll Stronghold, chat to my arm and go through the dialogue with him. Next, use your rake on my arm. Note that as he starts raking, there's a good chance he'll break the rake and hand you back the handle. If this happens, pick up the rake head and use it on the handle to fix it, before using the rake on my arm once again to see him rake the patch. Once the patch has been raked, use your Supercompost on my arm to see him compost the patch. Following this, I would actually suggest pausing for a moment and watching on ahead so that you know what to do for the upcoming boss fight. Once you're ready, use your hardy gout tubers on my arm, and then follow up by using your seed dibber on my arm, who will then plant the goutweed. The goutweed will start growing and you'll get a cutscene with the drunken dwarf who the troll kills. When the cutscene ends, chat to my arm, leading to another cutscene where the grown goutweed comes under attack from a pesky bird, leading into the boss fights. The first bird is only level 72 and is really easy to defeat. Simply attack this bird and run north to the rocks, using the rocks to block the bird from attacking you, and this will allow you to safe spot the bird. However, once this little bird's defeated, the actual boss fight against a large bird, being the level 172 giant rock, begins. Immediately I'd pop on protect from ranged and stand north of the farming patch, which will see it block the bird and thus prevent melee attacks. Now attack giant rock, and with protect from ranged active, the giant bird won't use its ranged attacks on you, allowing you to simply fight the bird from afar. But even with its melee and ranged attacks blocked, the giant bird will still use its wind gust special rather often. This will stun and push you back while also dealing damage. If you stand against some rocks, you won't be pushed back, but you'll still be stunned and dealt damage. Now you can simply tank the gust attacks and chip away at the boss, defeating it over time. However, with a bit of extra effort, you can lower the amount of damage it deals. For this, take off Protect from ranged and constantly move around between attacks, never standing on a tile for too long. This will see the bird alternate between its ranged boulder attacks and its wind gust attacks. But importantly, its boulder attacks only land if they hit the tile that you're on. So by dodging these, you should be able to reduce the amount of damage you take overall. Of course, it's a bit more effort, and there is still the danger of being hit by the ranged attacks, so it's up to you. Before too long, you should defeat the giant bird, and after doing so, you should automatically path to and go through a chat with MyArm. Notably, if you don't, then talk to MyArm yourself. After the chat finishes, use your spade on MyArm to hand it to him, and MyArm will then start harvesting the Goutweed. Once it's harvested, go through the chat with MyArm that takes place, and when it finishes, run south and climb down the ladder, before running further south and a little east through the door before climbing down the staircase into the kitchen. Inside, talk to Burnt Meat and go through the chat with him to be given heaps of burnt meat. Love that for us. After the chat ends, climb back up the staircase in the kitchen and then run west through a small door and further north to the ladder, climbing it to reach the rooftop before running north back to MyArm. Chat to MyArm and go through the dialogue, and after going through the chat, bam! Quest complete. You'll be awarded 10,000 Herblore XP, 5,000 farming XP, access to a disease-free herb patch atop the Troll Stronghold, and 1 quest point. Thanks so much for watching, catch you in the next quest.